Hey guys, welcome to the next episode of the PFP podcast. We're on episode 2. We made it to episode 2. Hayley and I wanted to start off by saying thank you for all the support that we've already garnered. As of recording this video, we've released 2 videos, the first episode of the PFP podcast, as well as a grocery haul video that Hayley recorded for us. Both have done super well for such a new YouTube channel. The first podcast got 93 views as of recording, so that's really awesome. Grocery hauls hovering at about 30 to 35, so that one's doing pretty well too. Thanks for all the support. We've gotten a ton of DMs and a ton of comments and just words from friends and coworkers about the beginning of the podcast, or of the whole channel, actually.
You hear that thunder and it's starting to rain here.
So, thanks for all the support. Do you want to say anything?
No, I'm excited to see how the channel grows, and I think we have had a lot of good support, so I'm excited to see how it grows and what we can start implementing. Like feedback from people.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking about implementing, if you notice, we're starting to get better at Premiere. We're learning all the tips and tricks and tools and stuff. So at the end of the grocery haul video, we added an outro, which was nice to implement.
And hopefully
we'll have an intro for either the videos that are coming out this week that you're watching this video, hopefully, or the week after. We're still mulling over a couple ideas on what we want to do for that. So, but just in general, we're getting better at using the programs and implementing all of our data into them, and having a lot of fun with it. So, all right. Last week, we added a poll to your Instagram, or it was your Instagram. We were polling people about the main topic that was going to sit in this podcast space for this week. Had a couple good responses, but the poll voting came
fandoms.
out for Fandoms. So what we mean by that is we're going to take some time to talk about some of the things that we really love. One or two of the things that we love are obviously mutual because we've spent so much time together.
There's no way I didn't hear that thunder.
Right.
It's like shaking the house, but it's fine.
If you can see this video, we made it. It's going to be okay. Anyway, the fandoms that we're talking about today are going to be, some of them are mutual interests, things that we both enjoy watching or getting into, and then we have one thing per person that is more exclusive, more like personal. So we're going to start off by talking about a mutual fandom that we've had pretty much ever since we've known each other. It's always been a good topic of discussion and always something that we can pop on and watch if we need to. And that's Harry Potter. So obviously, being 90s kids, the two of us, Harry Potter is super big. It came out when we were kids and right at the ripe age where, our age sort of reflected Harry's age. As the books and the movies came out, it kind of lined up with everything that was going on in the real world for us, but in the books for him. And
maturity and aging.
Right, the sort of themes that are talked about, and getting into school and how that goes and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So, but I know that Hayley resonates with them more because of books. So you want to talk about obviously reading the books?
Well, I guess whenever they were first coming out in theaters, I watched the first 2. I was like young at the time, and after the second one with the basilisk snake, I was like, nope, that ain't me. So I rolled out of that one, and I was like, I can't watch this. And so I took a pretty long hiatus, I guess however many years it was. And then when I was in high school, my sister started watching the movies, I think, with my cousin, and she's like, you need to watch them again. They're so good. And I was like, okay, I'll try it again. So I went through and I watched them all. Or I don't know if I watched them first or I read them first. I know I read up until 6 before the 7th came out, and I watched part 1, I think, right after I had read it, or no, I know what it was. I watched all the movies, and then I got to 7 part 1 because that was the last one that had come out, and I was waiting on 7 part 2. Then I was like, I've got to watch. I said I've got to read these so I know what happens. So, me, I'm a binger in general of books and movies, so I just sat down and rolled through those books super fast. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, okay, now I know what happens. I'm all right. I can wait. And then I went and saw it in theaters, and it was great because I'd already read it, so I knew it was going to happen. I got to see it all come together. But I just really, that's a comfort for me. As far as the books, I already planned. I read them 3 times, then I plan to read them again. I told Cody before the end of the year. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's been a while, even though it's only been a year. But it's one of those that you read once a year or once every 2 years. For me, it's an easy read, and I just love the world, the Harry Potter world. So, but as far as the movies go, I love the movies as well. I feel like they did such a good job with the casting for it. Obviously, there's missing stuff, which is in every book to movie adaptation, but I feel like they did a really good job for what they had. Obviously the movies are 2.5 hours long anyways, so adding more would make it a 3-4 hour movie. So I think they did a good job with what they had. Obviously, I have favorites, but I would put any of them on anytime and watch it. And mm-hmm. Usually my comfort default, because reading takes longer, is usually to put on a Harry Potter movie and I'll work on a puzzle, and that's just my go-to. So
right.
Also what I'm currently doing. So
right.
This weekend.
Yeah, and don't be fooled with the 2 different sets of the Harry Potter books on the bookshelf.
These are pretty beat up. That's why I got a new set. I've only read through the new set once, and I didn't read through the entire new set because I read the first 2 or 3 in the old set. Mm-hmm. And then I switched to the new set because it had come in the middle of when I was reading it last.
Right.
So this set, or this read through, will be the first time reading all the way through all 7 in the new set. Mm. So.
Yeah.
But I love the Hogwarts on the spine.
That's a really good printing mm-hmm. for that one.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, I am not the reader in the family. That's definitely more Hayley's forte. So, for me, I resonate with Harry Potter through the movies. And, obviously, the first 2 or 3 movies, for me, they're not the best movies. Just because the acting is kind of scaled down because they're kids. And it's not the most adult or mature story yet. It's very small scale. But then for me, as soon as the 4th movie came out, I was hooked. I remember the marketing for the 4th movie, and that's obviously the Triwizard Tournament, and it makes the world feel a lot bigger because obviously you're bringing in kids from other schools, and it appealed to me as a boy of that age. I feel like
it's more the boy movie.
It is definitely the boy movie.
Sports from Quidditch and the tournament and
yeah. Well, and in the marketing,
stuff's going down.
In the marketing, they really address that. So yeah, like you're talking about, they talk about Quidditch a lot more. There's a tournament which is inherently a fight. The girls show up.
Yeah.
When Bo Batten shows up, and obviously dragons. So
right.
It's anything your inner 7-year-old needs to sit down and watch a movie. And so I remember watching that movie and just being completely hooked after that. I had seen the other 3, but it wasn't mm-hmm. deep inside of me yet. And then watching the 4th one solidified it as something that I really enjoy. And they're always fun to go back and watch, and you remember lines. And being with you, I feel like I could recite all 8 movies at this point.
Right.
The amount of times that we've watched through them. So, you want to talk about sort of what you get out of it every time that you watch it, and why do you think that you keep going back to it after all this time?
Always. If you got that joke, we can be friends. A reference, not joke. I would say that what I get the most out of it, I feel like it's just, like I said, it's one of the comfort movies for me, and I feel like it, when I'm having a bad day or something like that, like I can just put it on and I'm instantly like put in a better mood. I could not even be watching the movie and it just be playing in the background, as long as I can hear it and I can like quote it, you know, like I think that is helpful. And it's kind of, to me, like, for me, a book, the reason I like reading a lot is because I feel like I can escape into a new world, you know, leave the stress and worries behind. Even though it's fiction, you know, it's just something new and cool. And that's how I feel about Harry Potter, because I feel the movies really bring it to life too. And it just really helps me, like, it's not escape, but it helps kind of, when I'm having a bad day, to just relax me and to kind of just be like, it's all going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I was a wizard, but it's fine.
Yeah. I think for me, what I get out of it a lot is anytime that I want to feel very seasonal, mm-hmm. a Harry Potter movie is very good because, A, it's a whole school year, so you can kind of get every season in a movie anyway. Yeah. But they do a very good job of explaining anything that's going on during the fall and the winter, and it's just cool because it's set in England, so mm-hmm. winters are way more exciting in England than they would be here. Right. So seeing all the snow and the fall Halloween decorations is always really cool and sort of nostalgic, because I remember, I think a few of the Harry Potter movies have come out during that time. Yeah. Like during the fall months, and so just see, and then obviously growing up and you watch them on TV and they always come on during Halloween and they always come on during seasonal time when you're home from school and you got all day to watch movies, might as well put on a series of movies. So yeah,
I mean, I also feel the message is good there too, you know, like Harry's a very humble main character, like he doesn't really know his talents and his worth kind of thing, and he was obviously mistreated all throughout his childhood, and then he goes to this new cool school and basically can just restart his life with people who actually really like care about him, and in the end love wins, so good overcomes evil. So mm-hmm. But yeah, who's your favorite character?
Come back to me. You answer. I'll think about it.
Well, you know mine.
Who's yours?
Hermione. Because I'm her.
Yeah, you resonate with her a lot.
I also think that she's just awesome. She's really smart, and she does always have really good morals and like sticks to them, and like kind of keeps Harry and Ron grounded. But then she's not afraid to like break the rules when it serves, like when it's for the greater good kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And she basically, Harry and Ron, I don't think would have survived a lot of things if it wasn't for her.
They admit that.
So
they admit that.
I think she's great.
See, because my knowledge is limited to the movies, I think Ron is really good because he's got a lot of good lines, but I also think Seamus is hilarious because he just blows everything up. He's the perfect example of a side character. Yeah. People
underestimate Ron.
Yeah. I like Ron.
He pulled the sword out of the river and the lake, and
spoilers, Hayley, for a story that's 10 years old. Well, can't be doing that.
He's done a lot of good. Yeah. In the movies, obviously.
So that's sort of one thing that we share is our love of Harry Potter. Now we're gonna transition to fandoms that are more individual. So for Hayley, it's Twilight. So we're gonna just start off with a couple interview style questions. I want to know what you love about Twilight so much, even though I've kind of seen it. We've watched through the movies a few times. But this is a chance for the audience to know the kinds of things that you love about Twilight, if they were to ever ask you. So we're going to start off with, did you read the books first or did you watch the movies first?
I read the books first.
And how long did you wait until watching the movies?
it was pretty much immediate. Because I think I read them like after everything had come out.
Mm-hmm.
So, if not, it was like the last bit, like Harry Potter was.
Yeah, sort of a little bit of overlap at the end.
Yeah, but I read through all of it.
Mm-hmm.
I will say the casting for that is not as good. And I will admit that they're not the best movies either. I more watch them because I liked the story, like kind of like Harry Potter with the world, like being in a different world and fantasy, you know, similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I like Twilight. And the books, I think the books are very well written. I think the movies, and I'm not saying that they're bad because I watched them. Obviously, I like them, and it's kind of like a guilty pleasure sort of thing, but. There's different I feel like there's different aspects of the movies that aren't great, but as a whole, like I still love the movies. That makes sense. Like there's some lines where I'm like, oh my gosh. Like they make a line in Twilight where he calls him like, he say, "Come on, Spider Monkey" or something, and I'm like, cringe.
Yeah.
But then other than that, like most of that movie was pretty, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess that answers my next question that I had that I was going to ask you. Do you resonate more with the books or the movies now that you've experienced both?
I'd say the books, but I obviously watch the movie because it's quicker and
a more accessible version of it.
Easy to just pop on when I'm not
just
one
need
to think.
something to
Because you
watch,
kind of got to think whenever you read. So
right.
when I just want to turn off my brain and just watch something.
Mm-hmm. What would you say is the thing that you take most from that story?
Love. For sure. Because, and then Bella with her, like, decision with Edward or Jacob, and her deciding, like, and she says it in Eclipse where she's like, who I should be, or who I am and who I should be, you know. I feel like that goes into more than just, you know, just that scene. Like, it can go into life in general.
Right.
But just how much, you know, she fights for him, Edward, and how much he fights for her. But they would, like, do anything for each other.
Right.
And then them just, you know, defeating the bad guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. That keeps everybody engaged also,
right.
As long as there's a goal in mind.
Right.
All right, so now I'm going to ask you the most important question of this whole section, right? How hot is Taylor Lautner?
Man crush for sure.
You didn't think we were going to talk about this without me asking that question.
I hoped.
You hoped that I was going to ask this question.
He's very cute.
Oh man, Hayley will like stop everything that she's doing when any scene comes on from those movies where he's taking his shirt off.
Good looking dude, man.
Stop the presses moment right there.
Good looking dude.
Yep. Yeah, all right, so next would be the fandom that I'm more closely attached to, being Marvel. So you want to ask me some interview questions?
Okay, so actually I don't know the answer to this, but what got you into Marvel?
Really, it just came from, as a kid, a lot of the cartoons that I would watch, especially on Cartoon Network, which is where I spent most of my time, a lot of those cartoons were based on DC comics. So Batman, Superman, the Teen Titans, they all kind of had their day with that. But then obviously Marvel started coming out with the Marvel movies, and that was really what springboarded me into caring more about those. Previously, Marvel had made like some of the X-Men movies and some of the Fantastic Four movies and the Spider-Man movies, but pretty much everything before the MCU really got involved just was, I mean, if you know the history behind it, you know the history behind it, but it's really just half-baked kind of things. And I think now that they're making the MCU movies, obviously everything is just a lot more fleshed out and just way more enjoyable as of now. So I really got into it as the MCU started, and that's really when most people got into it. But
right.
Yeah,
for sure. So obviously you've read the comics.
Yeah, I read them in parts.
No, what do you like better?
I mean, I think some of the comic book runs are better than others, obviously. And some of them I would really like to see adapted into the movies, and others I'm like, oh, that's fun, but it doesn't need to be in the movies.
Right.
You know? So I think, I mean, obviously the movies and now the TV shows, because we're living in the Disney Plus era now, but a lot of the movies and TV shows, I think, are either adaptations of some of the best stories from the comics, or they're just very good at taking details from a lot of different sources and making a completely new version that's still really engaging and still has references to all those other things. And there's plenty of stuff elsewhere on YouTube that you can go and find, and you'll get people, and I listen to those people too, that's why I'm so into it, but there are people all over the internet that will tell you, hey, this thing that you saw in the background of this episode, that references this thing.
Yeah.
You know? And
well,
so,
I think that they do a good job in those movies of making it their own, like, not fully, like, you know how books and movies, like, usually it's like they try to follow the book.
Correct.
Or they go completely out of the water and don't follow the book at all, or there's so much wrong. Versus,
yes.
I guess I can see how from a comic perspective it is like a book, but at the same time it can kind of take its own path, and then a movie can take another path, because I feel like those audiences are super different. Whereas I feel book, I feel like the people who read the books and want to watch the movies get upset a lot whenever things aren't included, or which they can, like I said in the Harry Potter, like they can only include so much. I think as long as they follow the main guideline, you know. Right.
Well, and comics are a little different because you can have multiple versions of the exact same story.
Right.
Like swapping to DC, just for a good reference, like Batman's parents have died in 1,000 different comic book adaptations and movie adaptations and TV show adaptations, and so over time you kind of can get every single version of events, and then you just pick which one you like the best.
Right.
And that happens in Marvel comics too. Like, there are certain things that happen in some instances, and then other times that is omitted or it's changed and it's happening in this version.
Right.
And so the way that they've set up comic books is already meant to have variations. It's already meant to be sort of different depending on who's in charge, like who's writing this material.
Right.
So it's nice to have the MCU as like a definitive version for the majority of people, because comics are a very niche medium. But I also think the people that are in charge of making the new material, they're very faithful to the original material, and they know which parts people resonate with and which parts are okay to change.
Yeah.
So I just think they know what they're doing in general, which is
why they're so successful.
Yeah, that's why they make $1 billion every time they put out a movie now.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's an easy action movie to get into because it's superheroes.
Right.
Not
I mean,
just like,
yeah.
It's not just like, oh, it's a fight scene that happens, I don't know if I'm gonna like it, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like most of them are all good. Like, I mean, I like all of them. So that is it is mutual in the fact that we both like the movie, but I'm not as into it as him, but I'm definitely down to watch most of those movies at any given point.
Yeah. Leave a comment below if you would like to see us do a Marvel movies / TV show ranking.
Yeah.
Those are super popular on YouTube, and so that would be a good video for us to make. And if you'd like to hear our opinions on those movies, drop a comment.
Yep. I had another 2 questions. How do you feel about the new shows coming out on Disney Plus and what's coming in the future with Phase 3? Phase
We're
4?
on Phase 4.
Phase 4. I knew that.
I think that the new shows in general that we've watched, so everything that's come out fully as of recording is Falcon and Winter Soldier, WandaVision, and Loki. We watched all 3 of those together, and those were all pretty good. They were all a little different.
Isn't there a new one coming out that we hadn't watched
Marvel
yet?
What If is coming out right now.
Okay, so we need to watch that.
We did need to watch that.
Which one did you like the best?
I think Loki was really, really good.
That was my
and
favorite.
I also think that Loki is going to do the most work in terms of tying into what's coming in the future.
Yeah.
We won't spoil that for anybody that hasn't watched that yet, but I think that those...
I loved Loki. That was my favorite.
I think that Loki in general is going to tie into the most things. In terms of like moving into the future, I am just curious to see how much they will lean into the TV shows, because I am afraid that there are going to be things that happen in the TV shows that you need to know to explain something that's happening in a movie. And there are just in general going to be people that are not watching the TV shows.
Right.
They're just
I
not
feel
going
like
to
they might. It might be like you should watch a TV show so you can understand more of the background of it, but I feel like they'll give like a basis of. I feel like
sure
that's how
they
most
will.
of the movies are.
Yeah.
Like, because I know people who don't watch them all in order, and they can still catch on mostly what's going on, even if they haven't.
Yeah. I
don't
guess
think you should do that,
Yeah.
but I've seen people do that.
I guess in terms of like how I feel about those new shows, I like them. I just don't know how connected they're going to be just yet. We're too early to tell,
Yeah.
but by themselves, they're very good.
Yeah.
I think they all are good. They're good at fleshing out the characters that they talk about, which are obviously not main characters.
Right.
I mean, main characters as of now have all gotten their own movies. Now that they finally gave Black Widow her movie,
Finally.
like 5 years too late.
I still liked it.
It was good.
My last question was, how much do you have to explain things to me?
I think that if you're just watching what's in front of you, you're doing fine. But if I was to start trying to explain to you the comic book references and the deeper meanings behind things,
Like
you're not
Loki
always.
was hard.
Yeah, you're not always.
I loved it
in
though,
tune
and
with
once
that.
I finally understood, it was good.
Yeah.
But that's complicated though.
Right. Well, and it's starting to get into like the deep comic book threads, and some now that they've made billions and billions of dollars, they're willing to take more risks and be like, hey, you should know about this before you start.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But in terms of like holding your hand and explaining to you certain things,
Well,
it
sometimes
doesn't
I
always
feel
have
like
to happen.
you will say something and we're like, oh yeah, remember when that happened in this one? And I was like, no. And you're like, okay, well, do you remember when this happened? No. Well, we need to rewatch that movie. That happened with Age of Ultron, because I did not remember that movie at all. We watched we were watching all the, Captain Americas, or was it?
I don't remember how it started.
But I think it was, because we were watching the second one, and then we're like, okay, we gotta watch the third one now. And then in the second one, you were talking about Age of Ultron, and I was like, yeah, I don't remember that. And then we went to the third one, and you were talking about Age of Ultron, and I was like, I don't know what that is. And we both were like, okay, that's what we're watching next.
Yeah.
Because we play the Marvel game where we go and say, Alexa, pick a number 1 through 23, and then whatever number that is the one that we'll watch. And then that way we're not like, because I'd probably pick the same couple ones, I feel. Mm-hmm. So that way we get variety.
Right. But that just means that we need to be rewatching the movies more.
Right.
Just to keep it all top of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was all the questions I had. Did you have anything you wanted to add to your?
No, I mean, if in the future we do a more
I guess
fleshed out Marvel,
what do you get out of it? Like, since you asked me that question, what is it?
I just think that they're so it's such a diverse cast of characters, and there's always a story for everybody. And you have coming of age stories with Peter Parker, and then you have
adult.
the opposite end of the spectrum with adult stories, with anything that has to do with Tony, like Iron Man 2, where he's dealing with alcoholism and trying to you know, get that under control. Or Steve, where he's like, I'm 70 years older than everybody here.
Right.
You know, so there's just such a wide spectrum of stories that they've already told, and like a whole other set of stuff that they are yet to tell.
Right.
You know, now that the X-Men are going to be coming in, Fantastic Four is going to be coming in, all the stuff that's, you know, in the new movies that are already, you know, set to release. So
right.
I mean, they're not slowing down. They got plenty of stuff to talk about.
Right.
So it ought to be interesting.
Agreed.
Moving forward. So that's going to conclude the main portion that we talked about.
I forgot to mention in the Harry Potter section.
Oh.
I feel that is very important. I have been to Harry Potter World one time, and it was whenever they only had Hogsmeade or Diagon Alley they had first. I think it's Hogsmeade.
I've never been, so.
Whichever one. I was there whenever they had the Dueling Dragons, which I know is no longer a ride. And I was there, like, I had butterbeer. And, yeah, she's snoring here. She had a 4-mile walk today, so she's very tired. But I did go, and I loved it, and I would love to go back. So if we ever go, because I know we both want to go and see all that, so if we ever make a trip out of that, maybe we'll do like a travel vlog, and we're going to geek out, and it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome.
Right.
But I definitely want to go back soon.
Yeah. Okay. So now that concludes the main segment of the podcast. Thank you to everybody that voted. We had a lot of fun coming up with interview questions for each other to sort of lead the discussion. And if we ever want to revisit this for other fandoms in the future,
or to talk more
in depth about anything, So, again, drop a comment down below if you'd like to see a more fleshed out version of any of these topics that we brought up.
Leave comments down below of any other podcast topics you have for us. We're going to try to do like one a week or one every other week. Because I feel that this is not an easy video, but it's one that we can throw together and just sit and talk.
Yeah.
And
just a nice sit down chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we appreciate and love any ideas that y'all can give us.
And we want to talk about things that you want to hear about.
Yeah.
Not just rambling.
For sure.
Yeah. So quickly, we're going to cover some news. This upcoming week, hopefully you're watching this video this week. On Monday, we will have posted a build video for a new puzzle table that we got for Hayley for the office. It's behind the camera, but you'll see that in the video that's coming out tomorrow as of recording. This episode will hopefully be released on Wednesday of this week. And then on Friday coming up, we have another video that we're going to talk about. Hayley was actually entered into an Instagram giveaway for some Sour Strips products, and we happened to win.
Yes.
So we did a whole a cute little unboxing video and talked about all of their products. So look out for that on Friday. So that should be this week, and then upcoming we have plenty of other video ideas that we're gonna start filming on here soon. So be subscribed. That way you don't miss any future content that we have going on. One video that I'm super excited about that I'll get to moderate is hopefully looking for a special guest to come in and do an NFL preseason predictions video. Just to talk about all 32 teams and where I see them going, and sort of just project as far as we can all the way to the Super Bowl, and let's just see how right I am from watching a week's worth of preseason games and just seeing who got drafted where. And
yeah.
We'll talk about all that. I'm definitely super into sports, so that's one thing that I would love to apply on this channel is some sports talk. So that's going to be that'll be something that I'm super excited to put together. So
That's more
be on the
you.
lookout for that. Right. I mean, not that you don't like sports.
I work in sports, so I prefer less things about sports outside of work.
Right.
I like to watch like LSU football and Saints, and then soccer and stuff. But other than that, and Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it.
Right.
So that's all you.
Well, we'll be putting that together and releasing that before the NFL season starts. So be on the lookout for it. All right. Anything else you want to cover in this episode?
I don't think so.
No?
I love talking about Harry Potter.
Yeah.
That's obviously my favorite.
I'm sure that'll creep its way into other podcast discussions along the way.
Lots of, I'm sure we'll do references and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Just throw out a joke or two.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not an owl. It's one of my favorite lines of the whole series. So, all right, guys. Well, happy week to you guys. Thanks for all the support that you've given us, and hopefully all the support that we're going to get for the videos that are releasing this week and into the future.
We appreciate y'all. We can't wait to continue to add more to this channel.
Right. Yeah. Please, 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 likes, comments, subscribes, DMs, all that good stuff. Let us know how we're doing, what you want us to do, and where the hell we're going with this thing. But it's been fun so far, so we're going to keep on keeping on.
We hope you have a good week, and we'll see y'all next time.
All right, guys. Thanks.